Hey there, YouTube. I'm Jack, and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me today. Sorry I didn't get one out to you on Monday as usual, but just got a little busy yesterday, and the day kind of slipped away from me. I am looking out the window at a beautiful day here in South Alabama, and we're actually about to get some early fall temperatures here in a couple of nights, so I'm pretty giddy about the weather these days. Anyhow, today I want to talk about the best transition to a raw vegan diet. Guys, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I'd really appreciate if you go down and hit the subscribe button now, then click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. And come back and check out some more of my videos, please. I get this one asked all the time. I hear this talked about all the time, and there's so many different thoughts on the subject. So I've talked about transitions before, and a lot of what I will say today will just be pounding the basic message over and over and over to get our body to the healthiest place it can be. Once again, as always, don't be overly obsessed with the raw part of it. And when I say that, I'm not trying to discourage you not to be fully raw, but there's just kind of a progression of things. And like I will always tell you a million times if I do a million videos, it's always about think health first, think nutrition first, think raw second. Now, that's not to say that you can't be fully raw and can't get all your nutritional needs. It's just to say that I think, to sum that up in a long way, to sum that up, it's just that sometimes people put raw ahead of the nutrition. In other words, they will make raw choices that are not as healthy for them, quite frankly, as a simpler cooked whatever. But anyhow, something else too when transitioning. What is the best? Okay, let's go back to the title of this, the best transition to a raw vegan diet. People go overnight, cold turkey, slowly do it pretty fastly. What's the best though? The best is the one that's going to actually work for you. The best is the one that's going to lead you to a way of eating that's a permanent thing, and it's not going to always be this jumping around, oh, well, this didn't work, now we're going to move over to this. And as you're transitioning, I want to tell you something, and I've said this before, and it's going to break some of your hearts out there, and it's going to discourage a lot of you, but the truth is the truth. There is no magic, there are no systems, and there are no programs that are going to get you from eating standard American diet to being raw, eating a raw food diet, or even just eating a whole food plant-based diet, very clean. There's no magic. These things that you're like, I can't give up. Like, people write me all the time, and I don't even know what to say. Oh, I can't give up my chips every afternoon, blah, blah, blah. Or I do this, and I eat this cookie. I don't even know how to process that, and that's not judgment right there. But if you're not past the place where you're still putting chips in your mouth, going and getting Doritos or going to the deli and getting cookies or whatever, I don't know what to tell you there other than you just don't eat them. You just don't eat them. I've used the cigarette analogy over and over and over again. Every time you're putting things in your body that you don't want to be putting in your body, it just kicks it up again. It's like when you smoke a cigarette. You quit smoking cigarettes for 7 days. You start thinking, oh, I can have one cigarette. As soon as you have that one cigarette, you're craving again. It's the same thing with those certain types of foods that trouble you, whether it's chips, whether it's cookies, whether it's something even in a healthier realm, but not necessarily something you want to be eating. But there's no magic solutions. At some point, anything that you want to cut from your diet, you're just going to have to quit putting it in your mouth. Novel concept, I know. You're just going to have to stop. Whether you have to white knuckle it, whether you make substitutes for whatever you're craving or whatever your trouble area is, whatever you got to do to get around putting that object in your mouth for a period of time until it gets out of your system, that's just what you're going to have to do. Now, another thing too, like I said, I think sometimes people jump ahead and they just want to be fully raw at all costs. And that's fine if you can do it. If you can do it. Now, I went very high raw, just for a little background for people that may have not watched a lot of my videos before. I went very high raw right off the beginning. But, and this is a big qualifier, I think circumstances have a lot to do with success and how you do this lifestyle as well. I was living in Costa Rica. I was living in the tropics. I had access to good fruit all the time. All the time. Let's say I was in my kitchen in Costa Rica right now, and I needed to go out and find some fruit or find some food. I could walk out my door, and within 10 minutes, I could find 6 or 7 places where I could get ripe, not where I have to buy them and wait around. I could get ripe pineapple. I could get ripe mango. Sometimes I could even get the ripe mango cut up for me. I got fresh sugarcane juice, fresh orange juice. All the fresh fruits you can imagine was all there all the time, and you could always find it ripe. So it was easy for me. I didn't have to go through all this beginning stuff of learning how to ripen things and waiting around, or maybe you don't have this, or you're in an area that's inconvenient. I had it right off the bat. So for me, I went high immediately. But from day one, and I've been doing this 9 years now, from day one I said, somehow it just got into my head, even in the very beginning, that the raw was not the most important part, and it wasn't worth doing anything just to get there. Just eating anything just so you could be raw. So I never focused on being fully raw. I've never focused on being fully raw, although I was fully raw for the years I was in Costa Rica, for most of the time, especially when I was living at the beach. But I'm glad that early on I just really got this thing that I just keep parroting and repeating over and over and over. Nutrition. What's actually in that? Let's forget about, is it heated to 118 degrees or not? What is it that we're talking about, whether it's raw or whether it's cooked? Is it nutritious for us? I'm looking at sprouts over there. Like I say, I've been harping on and on about some of the different things I like to do a lot, like the sprouts and the greens and whatever, but that's really all it's about, is finding what works for you. And just, it's like a formula. Once you find the formula, you just plug in there and you just kind of do the same things over and over. Now, that doesn't mean eating the same exact foods over and over. That just means, like, I've kind of got a framework that I work within. And then I just, I've got my smoothies, I've got my salads, but within my salads, I've got, I don't know how many different salads. I got as many different salads as I've got salad dressings, because all I got to do is mix around some of the ingredients I'm putting in the salad and different salad dressings. So if you really want to do this long term, if you want to be successful on this lifestyle, I say do like I did on that. Whether you do it exactly down to every detail, but really focus on your health. Really focus on feeding your body, because that's why so many people fail on a raw food diet. And actually, that's why people even fail on just vegan or plant-based, because they're not feeding their body the nutritional needs. And that gets frustrating sometimes. I've seen vegans that are the most hardcore ethical vegans get into this whole thing about, like, they don't even want to talk about the nutrition because it's all about the animals. And I love that. I love people that went vegan for the animals, and they're really have a voice for them and whatever. But you might want to think about this even from the ethical aspect of this lifestyle. And I know sometimes people brag and talk about they're like proud of being junk food vegans, but you have a better chance of sustaining and staying vegan, staying plant-based, staying raw, if you were feeding your body proper nutrition. If you're not feeding your body the proper nutrition it needs, you'll eventually stop being raw. Or you'll eventually, all these people, like how many big influencers out there and YouTube people, that's embarrassing for YouTube audiences, some of these people that are no longer vegan that y'all followed, that had hundreds of thousands of people. And from day one, you could see that they were just fluff. They were fluff. They didn't even, they were like a brand. They were cute. They were twerky. I don't know. They had nothing to do with really nutrition and food. And where are they? Where are they? And you know why? You know why almost everybody that I have seen do one of these videos, or even if they're not a bigger person, that come out with this big, I'm no longer vegan, I'm no longer raw, I can go back and dissect why. I can go back and dissect why, and it's because they weren't feeding their nutritional needs. We have our body requires two different things, and it'll always be hungry if we don't give it both. If we don't get an adequate amount of calories for our body, for our size, for our activity level, blah, 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 we're going to always be hungry. even if we're getting enough calories for our body and we're not getting our nutritional needs met, we're not getting the things that really nourish our body, we're still going to be hungry. Even if we're eating, you can even eat way over the amount of calories that it requires for your body. If you're not feeding that nutrition, you're going to just keep being hungry. I used to binge eat. I could eat 10,000 calories in a day. Why? Because I wasn't feeding any actual nutrition into my body. So, like I say, let's end up where I began. In the end, what's the best transition? The one that's going to work for you. Unless you are unless you've been diagnosed terminally ill, or you got some sort of a condition or disease that's just like you got to do it immediately, I think everybody's going to benefit from just like taking 6 months, taking 7 months. Even some people are going to take a year. But if you get there, I doubt there's too many people that are 18 years old watching me. So a lot of people watching me have been doing this, have been eating the same way they have eaten for decades. What's it really going to matter if it takes you a little bit longer to get to that place where you want to get, if that means getting there, being on solid footing and staying there? Because, hey, the proof is in me. Like I say, I'm not trying to ever say I do everything perfectly and you should follow me and you should do this or that like me. But this lifestyle is pretty flawed. I don't have to put any effort into it. I just do it. I just eat these things all day long. And it brings a certain peace of mind to you that you don't have to always be so thinking about food all the time, or craving something, or I want this, or oh, I better not eat, and just food always in your head. It's not like that for me. So just figure out what transition will work for you. Make yourself a plan for yourself and just stick to it, and it'll work. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again in a couple of days. Peace.